Hello and welcome straight from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. French President Emmanuel Macron says strong measures are needed to impose a ceasefire on Russia after at least 31 are killed in strikes in Ukraine's Sumy. The Kremlin said it's too early to expect results, though talks with the US are moving well. China calls on the US to completely cancel its reciprocal tariffs after Washington announced an exemption for smartphones, laptops, chips and other consumer electronics. And US Energy Secretary Chris Wright says Washington and Riyadh will soon sign a preliminary pact to cooperate over Saudi Arabia's ambitions to develop a civil nuclear industry. Well, first up, 3 years on and the Russia-Ukraine war shows no signs of slowing down. Sunday turned deadly in Ukraine's north. A Russian ballistic missile, or two of them, struck the heart of Sumy, killing at least 31 people and injuring over 80. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strikes, urging the international community to respond with strength and resolve. Now, Russia has claimed gains on the battlefield, announcing the capture of Yelizavetika village in Ukraine's embattled Donetsk region. And in yet another escalation, Moscow says Kyiv carried out 2 strikes on Russian energy infrastructure within 24 hours. That's despite a US-brokered agreement last month to halt attacks on each other's energy facilities, an agreement both sides are now accusing the other of violating. French President Emmanuel Macron has called for urgent measures to impose a ceasefire on Russia following its missile strikes on the northern Ukrainian city of Sumy. On X, Macron highlighted that Russia is solely responsible for the war and continues to disregard human life, international law and diplomatic efforts, including those by US President Donald Trump. Macron reiterated that France is working relentlessly with its partners to achieve a ceasefire. Ukrainian President Zelensky retweeted Macron's post, expressing gratitude for his support. Earlier, Zelensky had called on international allies to apply strong pressure on Russia to end its war against Ukraine, otherwise it'll keep dragging it on. And Donald Trump said on Saturday that talks aimed at ending the conflict in Ukraine may be going okay, but there's a point at which you just have to either put up or shut up. Trump made the comment to reporters a day after he showed frustration with Russia and told it to get moving on in reaching a deal. Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin about the search for a peace deal. The talks came at a time when US-Russia dialogue is aimed at agreeing to a ceasefire ahead of a possible peace deal to end the conflict, and it has appeared to have stalled over disagreements around conditions for a full pause in hostilities.
There are other talks going on. I think Ukraine, Russia might be going okay. And you're going to be finding out pretty soon. You know, there's a point at which you just have to either put up or shut up and we'll see what happens. But I think it's going fine.
And the Kremlin has said that relations with the United States have been moving ahead very well, cautioning that the damage done to ties with Moscow under the previous US administration has been grave.
Everything is moving ahead very well. The fact is that reanimating relations from scratch is a very difficult task, requiring very intense diplomatic and other efforts. The whole journey consists of small steps to recreate an atmosphere of at least minimal mutual trust, to strengthen this mutual trust. This is what is being done now. Contacts are being made through the special services. Contacts are being made through the Foreign Ministry, meaning between the Foreign Ministry and the State Department.
Now, the US and Iran have agreed to hold more talks next week after what both sides called constructive negotiations in Oman. their highest level contact since the collapse of the 2015 nuclear deal. That agreement, signed under President Obama, was aimed at curbing Iran's nuclear program. But President Donald Trump pulled the U.S. out of it during his first term in 2018. Now, with Trump back in office, he is warning of military action if a new deal isn't reached. Here's the latest on the nuclear dialogue.
US and Iranian delegations wrapped up indirect talks in Muscat on Saturday and agreed to reconvene next week. The discussions are part of efforts to revive a nuclear agreement and ease escalating tensions.
I think they're going okay.
What was your,
Well, I can't tell you because nothing matters until you get it done. So I don't like talking about it, but it's going okay. The Iran situation is going pretty good.
The two nations, adversaries for over 4 decades, are aiming to strike a fresh deal after Donald Trump withdrew from the 2015 nuclear accord during his first term in office in 2018. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and US President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff led the talks at the same venue where the 2015 agreement was struck when Barack Obama was US President. Saturday's meeting was the most high-level nuclear dialogue between the two countries since the original deal was signed in 2015.
Neither we nor the other side want fruitless negotiations, discussions for discussion's sake, time wasting, or talks that drag on forever. The American side also said that the desired agreement is the one that can be reached in the shortest possible time, but that it will not be easy and will require the necessary will from both sides.
Iranian Foreign Minister also said that he briefly spoke face-to-face with Witkoff during the largely indirect negotiations mediated by Oman. Talks are scheduled to resume next Saturday.
During the meeting, I think we came very close to a basis for negotiations. At our next meeting, if we can finalize that basis, we will have gone a large part of the way.
Negotiators met in separate rooms, with Oman's foreign minister shuttling messages between the two sides.
This is just a beginning, so it's natural that at this stage, both sides are exchanging their fundamental positions through the Omani mediator. Therefore, we do not expect the discussion to be very long.
The White House called the talks positive and constructive, with Trump's envoy's direct involvement seen as a step forward. Iran, which is under pressure from heavy global sanctions and its allies' recent setbacks in Lebanon and Gaza, is pushing for economic relief. The US, meanwhile, wants to ensure Iran never gets close to developing a nuclear weapon. The abandoned 2015 deal, which took nearly 2 years of intensive negotiations, restricted Iran's nuclear ambitions while allowing peaceful energy use. Since Trump's exit from the pact in 2018, Iran has ramped up uranium enrichment. A recent IAEA report said that Iran holds over 270 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, which is close to weapons-grade level. Iran's nuclear program is complex, and the wider West Asia is far more volatile. Bureau Report, DD India.
However, in the same West Asian region, the United States is nearing a historic energy partnership with Saudi Arabia to collaborate on the kingdom's civil nuclear ambitions. U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright announced during a visit to Riyadh on Sunday and confirmed that a broad energy cooperation agreement is expected to be signed within weeks, with a specific nuclear deal likely to follow in a few months. A key part of the deal will require a 1-2-3 agreement, which is necessary for U.S. involvement in Saudi nuclear development under non-proliferation criteria.
We're continuing dialogues about how best to cooperate, United States and Saudi Arabia, to ultimately build a commercial nuclear power industry in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I think you'll see meaningful developments on that this year, and I would certainly expect to see a long-term cooperative partnership between the United States and the Kingdom to develop commercial nuclear power right here in Saudi Arabia.
Now, Israel is expanding its military operations in Gaza after seizing a key corridor known as the Morag Axis, which cuts across Gaza between the southern cities of Rafah and Khan Yunis. The Philadelphia and Neit Zarim corridors are already under Israeli control. The country's defense minister, Israel Katz, said this move effectively links the Philadelphia route along with the Egyptian border to Morag, creating a wider Israeli-controlled security zone. Earlier, Israel told tens of thousands of residents of Khan Yunis and surrounding areas in southern Gaza to evacuate the combat zones. Meanwhile, Hamas began a fresh round of talks in Cairo as Egypt, Qatar and the US ramped up efforts to salvage a stalled ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. Now, in a bid to mitigate the impact of ongoing trade tensions with China, the Trump administration has granted exemptions on key consumer electronics, including smartphones, laptops and memory chips, providing much-needed relief to major US tech companies like Apple and Nvidia. DD India's Antara Sinha tells us more.
In a move to ease the impact of escalating trade tensions with China, the Trump administration has granted exemptions on several key consumer electronics from the steep import tariffs it recently imposed. The US Customs and Border Protection made the announcement on Friday, offering much needed relief to US tech giants like Apple, Nvidia, and Dell. The US CBP listed some 20 products, also including semiconductor based transducers, solid state storage devices, and flat panel displays. The exemptions apply to products such as smartphones, laptops, memory chips, and other vital electronics, which were previously subject to high tariffs of up to 145% on Chinese imports.
I'll give you that answer in Monday. We'll be very specific with Monday. But we're taking in a lot of money. As a country, we're taking in a lot of money.
This relief, retroactive from April 5, will narrow the impact of these tariffs, which have been particularly damaging for major tech firms that rely on Chinese manufactured components. Apple produces iPhones and other premium products in China and stands to benefit significantly from the exemptions. Although listed among the exempted goods, semiconductors could still become a target of industry-specific tariffs Trump has suggested placing on imports from all countries. Trump said he would give a very specific answer to the questions of any future semiconductor levies on Monday. Analysts have hailed the move as a positive development for the tech industry. Antara Sinha for DD India.
And reacting on Sunday, China called upon the US government to completely cancel reciprocal tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, which has taken the total levies to 145% on the Asian nation. A Commerce Ministry spokesperson said in a statement, "We urge the US to take a big step to correct its mistakes, completely cancel the wrong practice of reciprocal tariffs and return to the right path of mutual respect." Reacting to the tariff exemptions announced by the Trump administration on consumer electronics, China said that it was a small step in correcting his wrong practice of imposing 145% tariffs. Voting has begun in Ecuador's presidential runoff, with incumbent Daniel Noboa facing leftist challenger Luisa Gonzalez. The election is dominated by cartel violence that has made Ecuador one of the deadliest countries in Latin America. Opinion polls show a tight race. Noboa's victory will likely see continued hardline security policies and a close relationship with the US, while Gonzalez's victory would signal a shift to the left and potentially cooler relations with the US. The race remains very tight. Polls closed and vote counting got underway in Gabon on Saturday as the oil-rich Central African country held its presidential elections, with coup leader Brice Oligui Nguema widely anticipated to solidify his hold on power. Counting started shortly after the closing of polling stations. The result was expected as soon as Sunday, with the winner receiving a 7-year term, renewable once. Nguema, who ousted President Ali Bongo 19 months ago, is presenting himself as a reformer, tackling corruption after decades of Bongo family rule in Gabon. Gabonese residents are hopeful for the return of constitutional order to the nation.
It's been a long time since I voted, but this time I saw a glimmer of hope or something that made me go and vote.
I was really very happy, very delighted to see all those people like that waiting. You wait your turn to go and fulfill your civic duty. Because most often others could have gotten discouraged and go home, but despite the sun yesterday, people were still there. We still put up with it under the sun to fulfill our civic duty.
remplit ton acte.
Sudan's paramilitary forces have killed 56 civilians over 2 days in attacks on a newly retaken town by the army on the road to El Fasher, the last major city in Darfur, still under military control. According to the local resistance committee, the attacks, which took place on the 11th and 12th of this month, reportedly targeted residents on an ethnic basis. Since the outbreak of the war on the 15th of April back in 2023, Darfur has witnessed numerous clashes leading to civilian casualties and displacement. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. India's biggest construction expo 2025 opens in New Delhi with Piyush Goyal inaugurating it. iPhones worth $22 billion are now made in India. Is China losing its grip? We'll tell you why the Apple is falling from China's orchards into India. And India's compound mixed team clinches gold at the Archery World Cup in the US. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, India's largest building material and construction expo, Vibrant BuildCon 2025, was inaugurated by India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal at the Yashobhoomi Convention Centre in New Delhi today. The event is a landmark gathering of the global construction and infrastructure industry, featuring over 250 exhibitors, 50,000 plus domestic visitors and 700 plus international buyers across a vast 27,000 square meter exhibition area. Addressing the event, the minister said the nation's youth nowadays aspire to make India a global superpower.
Viksit Bharat 2047 is the goal of every Indian. Each one of us has to contribute to Viksit Bharat 2047. And to help realize these dreams, we have to adopt the best practices. We have to be sustainable, achieve net zero targets. We have to be energy efficient. We have to reduce pollution levels, focus on clean cities, clean environment. We have to look at precast construction, precast fabrication, modular buildings.
And Union Home Minister Amit Shah attended the National Cooperative Conference in Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh, where he witnessed the signing of an agreement between the State Dairy Union and the National Dairy Development Board, or the NDDB. The plan involves an investment of 2,500 crore INR as part of the White Revolution mission, aimed at achieving fair pricing and efficient milk procurement for dairy farmers. The decision for the collaborative agreement was announced recently by Chief Minister Mohan Yadav, saying that this step would be pivotal for boosting milk production in the region.
सहकारिता मंत्रालय ने सबसे पहला काम किया, प्राइमरी सोसाइटी जो प्राइमरी एग्रीकल्चर सोसाइटी के नाम से जानी जाती है, इसके लिए एक मॉडल बायलॉज बनाए और मॉडल बायलॉज को सभी राज्य सरकारों को भेजा। मगर मैं हर्ष के साथ कहना चाहता हूं, आज संपूर्ण भारत ने मॉडल बायलॉज को एडॉप्ट कर लिया। जब आपकी नीयत ठीक हो, परिश्रम करने की वृत्ति हो, तो नतीजे भी ठीक ही आते हैं।
In a major global shift, Apple is now producing iPhones worth $22 billion in India, a clear sign of the tech giant reducing its reliance on China. According to reports, nearly 20% of Apple's total iPhone production now comes from India. The move comes amid ongoing geopolitical tensions, COVID-related disruptions and Apple's push to diversify its global supply chain. Now, India adorns the 125 feet Dr. B.R. Ambedkar statue in Hyderabad, which is one of the tallest statues of its kind in the world. Located beside the Hussain Sagar Lake, the statue is part of an 11.8-acre memorial that includes a museum, library, conference hall and other structures. Designed by Ram V. Sutar, the statue depicts Ambedkar holding the Indian Constitution in his hand. And as the nation gears up to celebrate the 134th birth anniversary of Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar on the 14th of April, which is on Monday, a procession was carried out in India's capital Delhi to remember his thoughts and pay tributes to him. People remembered Dr. Ambedkar's message for life along with his contributions for the nation. India's youth took pledge to work according to the teachings of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar.
मैं आज भूल नहीं सकता परम आदरणीय इस देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री रहे स्वर्गीय अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी को। उस समय उन्होंने जब बाबा साहब को भारत रत्न देने की बात कही तो उस समय की जो देश की सरकार थी उस प्रस्ताव को नकारने का काम किया, पर अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी की सरकार में बाबा साहब को जो सम्मान मिलना चाहिए था भारत रत्न से पुरस्कृत कर उनके नाम और देश का गौरव बढ़ाने का काम भी किया गया, तो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी सरकार में किया गया।
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Haryana on Monday on the occasion of Ambedkar Jayanti. During his visit, the PM will flag off a commercial flight from Hisar to Ayodhya and lay the foundation stone of the new terminal building of Hisar Airport. The PM will also inaugurate and lay the foundation stones for developmental projects in Yamunanagar and address the gathering on the occasion. Boosting power infrastructure in the region along with the vision of electricity reaching the last mile, Prime Minister Modi will lay the foundation stone of the 800 megawatt modern thermal power unit of Deen Bandhu Chotu Ram thermal power plant at Yamunanagar. Taking forward the vision of the Gobardhan scheme, the PM will lay the foundation stone of a compressed biogas plant in Mukrabpur in Yamunanagar. PM Modi will also inaugurate the 14.4 kilometer Rewari bypass project under the Bharatmala Pariyojana. And Prime Minister Modi has greeted everyone on the occasion of Baisakhi today. The PM wished that the festival bring new hope and happiness in everyone's life, and we always celebrate the spirit of togetherness, gratitude and renewal. Baisakhi marks the first day of the month of Vaisakh and is seen as a celebration of spring harvest, primarily in Punjab and northern India. Sports now, and the Indian compound mixed team of Rishabh Yadav and Jyoti Venam bagged gold medal at the Archery World Cup in Auburndale City in the US. Rishabh and Jyoti held their nerve in a tense finish to defeat Chinese Taipei's Wang Yizhu and Chen Che-lun in the final. The Indian duo trailed for most of the contest. However, they stepped up their game when it mattered the most. The mixed team event in compound archery will make its Olympic debut in 2028. The Archery World Cup is the first major international competition since the announcement was made earlier this week. And the Delhi Capitals will host Mumbai Indians in the Indian Premier League on Sunday. The Akshar Patel-led Delhi Capitals are the only undefeated team so far in this season's IPL, securing victories in their 4 matches. They will look to put up another good performance. On the other hand, 5-time champions Mumbai Indians have slumped to 4 defeats. They've managed just 1 win in the 5 matches so far. They are 8th in the points table and desperately need to bounce back. Olympic champion Lucas Mertens of Germany broke the men's 400-meter freestyle world record at the Stockholm Open. The 23-year-old surpassed the milestone set by fellow German Paul Biedermann at the World Championships in Rome in 2009. Mertens won Olympic gold in Paris last year. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.